All right, kitties, settle down, settle down. Now, come on. You've all been working very hard this week, and I decided it was time for a treat. I ran down to the library, and I picked up the last film on the shelf. Yes, indeed. The sticker on the canister said, the replacement of a windshield on 1940s Chevrolet vehicles. Yes, very good, very good. Inside there was a note, and it said that the purpose of this film is for general information and entertainment. I think those two contradict each other, but nevertheless, we will proceed. Yes, yes indeed. The subject vehicle is a 1948 Stylemaster Chevrolet by Chevrolet. Yes indeed. And it's noted that if you have a Fleetmaster or a Fleet Line or any Chevrolet model from the previous or subsequent years, the procedure will be generally the same, but there are slight variations that you need to follow. So be sure to do your research and look up the procedure for your particular year model. Yes, very good, very good. Okay, at the conclusion of the film, I will give some closing remarks and handle any questions thereof. Yes, indeed. Very good. Very good. Senioritis Nosebleed, would you please roll the film?
Well, hello there! As you can see, the big beautiful Buick is gone. Very sad. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you probably should take a look at that. But as you can see, we have the 48 back, so it's a happy day. We have a list as long as my arm to get through before we say goodbye. So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, adieu to you and you and you. So let's get in close and talk about what we're doing.
Okay, we'll get set up a little better in here, but as you can see, we got a nice crack in this left-hand pane. Only bought a left-hand glass. And so we'll pop this out. We got to take all this garnish molding off and the rear view mirror. Take all that off. I will have to take off the visor outside, and then we will start pushing this glass out. I will do both sides because the seal is one piece, so we will replace the whole thing. And I do think we have water penetrating. Let's go out here. I do think we have water penetrating through this crack perhaps, but it really could have been anywhere. I saw some evidence of water coming in behind the dash when we were doing the wiring. So let's get set up and get this visor off. Looks like this visor is fairly straightforward. I've got 2 screws on each side. Right there I'll take out, and then I'll just come in the center here and take the slack off these 2 clamps that are holding it to the center post. And that should let me pop that whole assembly clear off. And then we'll get that off of there. Where's all my stuff?
She's so fine, my 409. She's so fine, my 409. My 409. Not even close to a 409. She's so mean, my 216. She's so mean, my 216. My 216.
Looking good. Well, what do you think? What look do you guys prefer? Put her down in the comments. This is what I like. I just like the sleekness. But what I like isn't always the best. More importantly, yeah, well. I don't know if you've noticed by now, but a guy really likes to use hand tools, old-fashioned hand tools on jobs like these. It just lets me go a little slower, make sure I'm not beating anything up. I do have a Yankee screwdriver around here somewhere. I could even use that. You know, 25 years ago, when I was working at my full service and repair shop, I had a Ford Ranger in the shop, and I did a heater core on it, and if I remember right, that's the one you got to take the dashboard completely out to get to it. And I was just finishing up. The windshield was absolutely all full of pits, little starburst pits in it. I was just finishing up, and I was using a ratchet up here on the dash on something, and the end of my ratchet just barely went like that on the glass, and the whole thing just spiderwebbed. So then I had to call the owner and say, well, job's done, but now you have to replace your windshield. And he was really good about it. He laughed and said, well, that's needed to be done for a long time anyway, you know, so. It's just one of those things. Okay, we got all our screws out of the molding. Top and bottom have these little clips that finish out the center. So we got those off. Now I will get my plastic trim pry bar and start prying the left and the right loops out. Okay, at this point it shouldn't hurt too much. Get a metal panel tool. This center bar is being very difficult. There we go. Just got to break the seal on that. Okay, so we did two things there. I wanted to get just a really quick and awful tape job around the perimeter of the seal because I'm going to be using 90-degree picks or putty knife in order to break the seal and push it in. You go in on a car to the inside. You see this post here? This is metal, this is permanent, that is welded between the top and the cowl. You cannot come out like you would most any other vehicle. Even a pickup of this vintage, I believe you come out. Cars, you go in. So I'm going to be running a tool underneath this seal, under this lip, to break it, and I'm going to be pushing at the same time to get that glass to go in. Sitting in a channel, and I'm just trying to coax this lip to follow it into the cab. There was something else I was going to say. The other thing I wanted to say. This, of course, is Stylemaster. Fleetmaster or Fleetline will likely have stainless trim yet around this. That is very easy to pop off. Just go gently, go slow. Once you get it started, you can almost always get it by hand, even if it's been in place since the 40s. And then once you've got that off, then you just proceed like this, and you'll have another step beyond what I have to do to go back together. But let's get this glass out. Now, if you expect something 73 years old to do what you wanted it to do, you might just be pretty disappointed. I don't care if you're talking about cars or people. All right. So you saw I had to resort to the knife. I ended up cutting a lot of it, the outside and on the inside, because there was just no giving in that old seal. Got a little bit of rust up here, not too bad. It should clean up okay. There's no metal or material completely missing, so that's good. We'll see. I'm a little nervous right down there where the crack bottoms out, but we'll see. I'm going to get that one out and we'll proceed. Well, there's just not a whole lot left to show the folks at home, but there's the old seal. And here's the glass. The one already broken actually cracked on me a little bit more for some reason. It was just a little bit too stubborn coming out, I guess. There's the right hand one. Pretty good shape. We'll clean it up nice. And I see less of a rust issue on this left hand side than the right hand. So it was sealing okay, apparently. The center post is a little rusty. So is the ashtray, so maybe water was getting down in the center. I don't know. Either way, we're going to fix it, right? Right. Alright, got the little die grinder with the little wire wheel in it. Don't want to go too fast with these, but gives me good control on cleaning that up quickly. So we'll run this around and clean that lip up. So I've got that half done, working on the right half, and where things are especially stubborn, I'm using my 3M roll-lock with 60 grit. Okay, it just happens to be what I had on there. But that's cleaning up that rust really nice. Well, a guy's going to have to shut her down for the day. I need to get some sealer to put in the channel. By the way, I did tell you wrong. I went back to the book and looked it up because I had my doubts. And on the Fleetmaster and the Fleet line, you do not have to remove the outside molding. It has its own separate rubber channel. So you just push on the windshield and fold that rubber lip around, and you should still get your glass out without disturbing the stainless. That is at least per the book, keeping in mind all the rubber was new when that book was written. So now, one thing you want to check out if you have a crack like I do.
Excuse me?
One thing you want to check out if your windshield is cracked is, was there any reason for it? Is there something wrong with the metal that made it crack? So we just want to look for any high spots, anything wavy or out of line. Everything looks fine. Another thing they do mention in the book is whether or not these are tightened down too tight. And that is just about impossible. I can't even see what's going on in person, let alone getting a camera up in there. So I need to stick my head way up underneath the dash and see if whether or not these are okay, too tight or not. And basically, you're basically just collapsing the entire sheet metal body if you tighten these way too tight. Very unlikely. And if I look along the sheet metal, you know, I would think you would see some distortion if it's going to crack the glass because of that. So that is very unlikely. But a guy's got to check these things out after all. Get some sealer, finish cleaning up the inside of the lip, and then we're going to go back together. Now, just for fun, I'm going to give this pinch weld a little extra protection. Just lightly go over it with some rust fighting primer here. Apparently I need to get some more foam brushes because all I have is this big honky. But anyway, it'll do the job. Just anywhere where there's bare metal, I want to cover that up. Now you can see how twisted and gnarled this rubber is. Kind of like a twisted and gnarly thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to mellow it out before I try to install it. So to do that, I'm installing both pieces of glass. And then I'm going to put it out in the sun and let it heat up really good. And then we'll bring it back inside, let it cool down, and hopefully that'll take some of the twist out of it. And also this center bar seal really needs to stretch out. I don't know if you can tell on there, but it is tight in the center. Oh. Or rather I would if a storm didn't happen to be blowing in and there was no sunshine. So I guess this will wait for tomorrow. Alright, we've had a warm, sunny day outside all day. I've left this outside since morning with the glass in it. That has really helped to soften that rubber and stretch it over the glass. I am going to leave it in here, let it cool down inside, and I'm just going to leave the glass in it until it's time to install. If you're saying, hey guy, I don't have a warm, sunny day and I need to get this done now, well, go down to your farm and ranch and home store to the chicken aisle there and get yourself a heat lamp and the heat lamp, actual lamp part, not the, you got the red bulb and then you got the lamp, and get both of those. Putting this out in the sun really helped things out. I mean, it wants to lay nice and flat now, but this thing is molded just a little bit off of what it needs to be. They just molded this lip that goes over the pinch weld all the way around. And here at the center division bar, we can't have it in the way. This will get caught behind the bar on the inside of the car, and it wouldn't let the center bar piece lay flat. So we're going to cut it open. Just like that. And then I'm going to take a razor blade and I'm going to cut it to the side of the center division bar seal. So about this inch and a half is where I'm going to cut it, right along here. Well guys, I got it this far. I almost have the left-hand new piece of glass completely in. I had some concerns when I first got the seal, and it turns out they were well founded. Let me dig the old seal out of the trash here. Okay, the center bar seal on the old one is just a little over an inch wide. And this new one, it's going to be hard for you to judge this, but it is at least a 1/4 inch wider, if not more. And I was hoping that the groove in the center was deeper or matched the original, and just the outside dimensions were larger. But it really seems to be the groove is not the groove is the same depth, and this is just wider for some reason. And I just cannot. I know I'm gonna break the glass if I push it any farther. I can't get my holes lined up in the center, and it was a fight. Just way too much thickness there, way too much heft. So I'm going to source another seal from a different place. I'll let you know where I get the one that works. I'm not here to badmouth anybody, and so I'm going to pop this back out, order a new seal from a different place, and we will get back together when I'm this far with the new seal. When will a guy finally learn his lesson? You know, I try to keep costs down for a guy so he doesn't have to sink quite so much money into this project, and it just ends up biting you and costing more money. One of these days, I'm going to learn this lesson. So what happened? I was ordering some parts at a parts house. I get a lot of stuff for them. They're great people and a great company. And the seal I ordered was like $47. Well, it didn't fit. I actually ended up cutting it to get the piece of glass out because it went in so tight, and I stubbornly was telling myself this thing is going to go in there, and I was afraid I was going to break it pulling it back out. So I cut a new seal apart to get it out. Cost me $47 when I bought it. It was obvious it was not going to fit. So I went to another parts house that I use also from time to time, and they sell actual steel rubber products, a great company, and yeah, this thing is made so much nicer. The rubber is much more petite. I can see instantly that is going to fit a whole lot better. The center bar piece is narrower. Oh, let's get the original here. That matches exactly. You can see this is like 1/4 inch wider. This has the reliefs already molded into it for the pinch weld. So you saw earlier I cut these with a razor blade to do that. Okay, I bought this from the filling station, and they list it for $165. And if you go to Steel's website, they list it for $165. So you can't get it any cheaper. They're giving the filling station a discount, you know, so that they sell it for the same price. So you're not getting gouged, so to speak, by the filling station. And a guy just should have bought that to begin with. You know, that seems like a huge price difference between the two, but what is a seal worth that doesn't work? Zero. When I also ordered a new right side glass, put the two in there side by side. The right side just, you know, is a little stained. There was one chip or one little pit in it. You could see the marks from the windshield wipers through the years. It just looked kind of sad and pathetic next to a nice new one. So went ahead and bought a second glass, and we will put that in as soon as it comes in. Oh, I also need to say, you know, all that rigmarole I went through putting this out in the sunshine so I could get it to stretch out and lay flat? Well, the steel right out of the bag this is how it acts. It's... when will I learn?
Well, we've got our second piece of glass, so that's a great day. I've got my rope put in underneath the outside lip that goes over the pinch weld, so that's ready to pull over. I don't think anything's preventing us from getting in there and finishing this thing. Now, if you're going to leave comments about I'm doing it wrong, it should go in from the outside, go ahead and leave your comments, but that's not correct. Just look it up for your car. A 49 and later goes in from the outside. Pickups go in from the outside. But if you want to prove me wrong, first look it up and then type your little comments. More importantly, why is my pocket on my stomach? I don't know. Now, in the hopes of making things go a little smoother, I want a little slick 'em where in the channel for the glass. So I'm going to use something that won't leave oil behind, and it'll evaporate. And so I'm going to use glass cleaner. Just going to spray the outside of the glass. It's going to get slippery on you, so be careful. You ever have one of those projects where you come up against an obstacle that should have been a snap, and it just turns into something that seems like it's just not gonna happen? Don't give up, guys. Don't give up. You think about all those times in your life that you've run up against something like that, and what happened to them? Where are they today? Somehow you got by them. Somehow you succeeded. Or you gave up. But either way, you don't even remember what they are anymore, do you? So we've got one of those going on. The left-hand glass, I just was not happy how the seal was looking. I got it most of the way in, but just right along the bottom in two spots, the seal was bulged out like I just could not get it back in. And then I showed earlier on the center post, I could not get the seal to center up. I'm still a little concerned about that part, but the Sharpie line here represents the old piece of glass. Maybe it's kind of hard to distinguish. I've got at least 1/8 of an inch on the top end here, and it goes down to a point on the bottom, and then the same on the top. At least 1/8 inch at the widest, and the right hand isn't quite as bad, but it is still larger than the original. So what are we going to do? You've got several options, and I wouldn't call any of them good. The best one would probably be take them to a glass shop. They are probably not going to give you any guarantees that the glass will survive, but most shops have equipment to wet sand down the edge of glass. Alright, car, one of us is going home wearing this windshield, and I don't have the body for it.
Now you can see, now that I've got the whole thing in there, how much more centered the rubber behind the center post is. I see an equal amount of rubber on each side of the metal there. These windshields, they just do not want to fit until they're where they're supposed to go. And that's just the way it is. So now I need to get the rubber lip over the pinch weld. Well, that's a big kick in the knickers. So recently I have immersed myself in the magical world of vintage Chevrolet windshield panes. Yay! The conclusion I have drawn is that no two pieces are created exactly the same. My two original pieces that I pulled out do not exactly match the two pieces I ordered from Chevs of the 40s. They actually came out of a glass shop in California or something. And I'm talking a difference of maybe an 1/8 inch along one side and an 1/8 inch along around the curve here. It's just, none of them are exactly the same. Now in this style of windshield, it shouldn't be that critical how big the panes of glass are. Let's say this hand here, the fingers are pinch weld. The outside and inside of my hand are your two pieces of sheet metal, the inside layer and the outside. They come to one weld. Your glass and your seal butt up against the inside of that pinch weld, but they do need to fit along inside the opening of the inner construction. So getting absolutely perfect size of glass shouldn't be just incredibly critical, but it does need to fit. And then on the Stylemaster, you've got the rubber flap that folds around the pinch weld, and that's what's on the outside and seals it. The higher end cars, higher end Chevrolets, the same gear models, had a separate piece of rubber that sealed around the pinch weld, and then the stainless trim on the outside. So I took my good remaining pane of glass from Chevs of the 40s to my local glass shop. I said, use this as a pattern, but I want you to remove 1/16 of an inch from every side, or 1/8 of an inch overall. That's how much smaller I wanted it, which they certainly did. When I line up the bottom perfectly and this right side or left side, I've got a consistent 1/8 of an inch line here and a consistent 1/8 of an inch line here going down the top. So they did their job, what I asked them to do. Now this means that between the two panes, the overall width is actually going to be 1/4 inch smaller overall. The height is 1/8 of an inch smaller overall, the width 1/4. And I am perfectly fine with that because my rubber molding on the center bar, when I put just 1/2 in the car, was always way off to one side. And I mean, at least 1/8 of an inch off center. So that 1/4 inch, I hope, is going to work out just fine. The 1/8 inch will help me get that in there. All that's left is to do it. So let's stop talking about it and get this seal on these 2 smaller pieces. Oh. Oh. Yes. Hey, guess what? The rubber and the center bar are centered. What a miracle. I thought if indeed it did fit better this time, I was going to retry the rope. So I'm going to put a screw maybe in the center one, just loose, very loose, just to hold it, and then we'll start pushing and pulling on the rope. Oh, even that much smaller glass and this is tough. Oh. Praise God, hallelujah. Oh, I'm sorry. Now before I start sealing things up outside, I'm going to loosely install all my garnish moldings, get the screws started. I'm not going to snug anything up at all. That way I can run back in here and tighten everything up before that starts to dry. And, well, it makes sense in my mind, so that's all I'm concerned about. Now the product I'm going to be shooting in there is 3M's 08690 Fast Cure Auto Urethane. I get a little stressed out when I start seeing words like fast cure and for professional use only, but that's okay. We'll get through it. So would you. Just be sure to wear gloves, probably even clothes you don't care about, and some guys might think, well, I'm going to squirt that in the channel, put the glass in, put the windshield in, and then I don't have to go back and do this step. And you can probably get that done, but any chance of getting this stuff all over the upholstery and even the dash, you're going to have a hard time cleaning that out. I mean, you're talking about this stuff just ruins whatever you get it on. So, be advised. Now, if you're thinking you're going to squirt this on with your typical 5 and dime caulking gun, you're going to have a little surprise coming. I mean, this is like trying to squeeze peanut butter through your nasal spray bottle. It is thick, and I'm not kidding. You cannot use this. So I ran to town, and I picked up a higher quality skeleton gun, hoping I could at least get a lot more foot-pounds with the old hand on there to get that to come out. But it wasn't until I was on my way home this morning I remembered I knew somebody that had an even better caulking gun. Now, it's never been my life's ambition to own the world's coolest caulking gun, but that's crazy. This is my father-in-law's. I have no idea why he ever even bought it, but I'm certainly glad he did. It doesn't look like he's ever even used it. I highly recommend you get hot water and immerse this in it for like half an hour. Just really let that stuff soften up in there. And you can see I have also electrical taped an Allen wrench to the very tip. And that's going to be my leading point. That's going to spread that rubber apart from the glass. This very fine tip wants to just bend over in there. So that's the purpose of that. I was born on wings of steel. I have so much to feel, and I won't run down no more.
Well, folks, that's pretty much it. We've got the windshield in. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. It is in. It is sealed. It is done. I've got to finish leveling up the visor. You don't need to see that. I'm going to come back in a day or so, rub any sealer that's on the rubber. You can rub it with your finger and it'll come right off. Scrape the glass with a razor blade where I've got some on it, but I'm going to wait till it's cured to do that. You know, I thought the fitting the glass was a challenge on this, but getting that urethane to go in the channel, now that was a job. That was a tough one. My forearms will never be the same. If anyone knows a different product other than the 3M that I used, let me know about it. One that flows better. Now that's great stuff, and I know it's going to seal it, but man, it's hard to work with in this case. Now, unfortunately, that was the last job we had to do on this old girl. It has been an honor and a privilege and a lot of fun working on this thing. I am going to be sad to see it go back home, but that's how it goes. I'm actually going to check over a few things, finish up a couple little details, nothing at all worth making a video about. So unfortunately, I think this is the last time we'll be seeing this. Isn't that sad? But you never know what's around the corner. I've got Corvair job going on. I've actually been working on a 327 for my 86 square body. I have to get my son's 90 short bed in and pull the motor this winter so we can get that going, because he's going to be driving soon. So we've got a lot to do, and there's always more around the corner, and I've been talking to a couple of guys that have some jobs they want me to do. So you never know what you're going to see here. Anyway, I sure appreciate you spending this time with me. God bless you guys. We'll see you on the next one.
What is it?
Okay, we have a note here from Superintendent Double Chin asking me to remind you to like and subscribe. I don't really know what that means. Apparently, he would like you to subscribe, maybe to a newspaper or a magazine. I'm not quite sure. I probably shouldn't do this, but I recommend Pocket Protectors Biannual. I just happen to be the co-chief editor in charge of research, you know.